Good evening, other strangers. So today, it's lunchtime. Normally I would make a salad. I wanted to make something that I grew up with. We called it goulash. Finished product is here. It's actually not bad. You can add your whatever tomato sauce you want. You can add veggies to it. Not gonna add veggies to it. I'm just gonna make it this way. Whatever you have left over, you can throw in it. So like leftover ground meat in this case is what I have. So I'm gonna throw in leftover ground meat in here to add some stuff to it, or add some protein to it. I could add veggies too if I wanted to. I'm not gonna do that. You can do whatever marinara sauce you want. We call it spaghetti sauce, but it's usually marinara sauce. So like, you know, ragu and all those, prego, whatever. Doesn't matter. But that's what I'm gonna do. So that's what today's episode is all about. Is this. So I'm going to go through that. We'll go ahead and get started with that. We got our pan on water, and this is just, again, this is going to be a very, very simple recipe because it doesn't really take hardly anything at all. My wife doesn't necessarily like it, so I'm going to make it for lunch. And it's probably way more meat than I need, but I'm going to use it. We'll wait for that to brown up, and then the pan to be ready, and then put noodles in that once that's done. So basically what I'm doing right now is I'm basically heating up the meat, getting the water boiling, and you can hear that. You can hear the meat in the background. The meat's already been pre-cooked, so all I'm doing is just warming it back up again, revitalizing it a little bit, because I don't want really cold meat going in because I'd have to reheat the meat up in the sauce, so I'm just using a separate pan to do that. I don't know if you have to or not, that's just what I'm doing. I don't claim to be an excellent cook, I just mess around with stuff, and you know, this is something that I do. Alright, so our noodles went in, so we're waiting for those, and the meat I think is pretty well done, so I'm going to turn that off, and I'm going to combine everything into one pan. I know not a lot of people do that, not a lot of people like doing that, but that's what I'm going to do. Turn those off, turn the meat off. Let the noodles boil. A lot of cooking shows always say when you're doing boiling noodles to have the water as salty as the sea. I don't like that because the noodles themselves tend to be really salty afterwards. So I just salt it enough to my taste so that it doesn't taste overly salty. You can do it however you like. I don't add as much salt as this is not that salty at all. At this point, everything else is done. I'm just waiting on the noodles, which I'm stirring right now. I want those noodles to be nice and ready. So I will come back to that. Testing noodles. I mean, the box will usually tell you how long to cook them for. Unfortunately, we have separate storage for noodles, so we don't have the box anymore. But what I have to do now is basically test it. The way I do it, I just take it and grab a fork, pull one out, and eat it and see what the level is. You don't want them too crunchy. You don't want them overly squishy either. Basically want to be able to bite into it without too much crunch. At least that's how I engage it. So that's what I'm going to do now. If I can grab one, tad difficult to grab. So I'm using spaghetti noodle. Again, you can use any kind of noodle you want. Almost had. Alright, well I got more than I want, but it'll do. So, yep, I think those are ready. So we can go ahead and strain them. So get yourself a nice sized colander. Dump them in. Now something you don't want to do, since this is going to be a hot meal, you don't want to rinse them out because that's going to rinse off all the starch, and you don't want to do that. You want all that starch to stay in there because that starch is going to help the sauce stick to everything. Now if you were doing a cold noodle or a cold dish with noodles, then you'd want to rinse that starch off. Otherwise everything it just tastes way too starchy because that starch will work against you. And you give it a good couple of shakes. Make sure all that water is out. And move on to put it back in the pan. And there we go. That's back in the pan. You can also tell it's done when it sticks to the side of the pan, like it's doing there. Alright, so now we need the marinara sauce. And the meat all going together. And again, I'm just using a jar of marinara sauce. You can, it's nothing special. The meat, just incorporating everything together, because this is, again, whoops, and I'm making a mess too, because you know, that happens sometimes when you're cooking. You make the mess, but that's what cleanups for later. So we can get that out of the way because we're done with that. I'm just going to mix that in. We can add more marinara if we need to. I like a fair bit of marinara. I don't like to skimp on sauce, so I may add more to it, but for right now, yeah, I'm going to add more sauce to it. We had some Parmesan cheese. I would add that on top at the end, but I don't have any, so I'm going to have to go without as much as I wish I did. And I'll just add a little bit of pepper because I've added salt to the noodles, so I don't need to add any more salt to it. I think the salt content is going to be fine. But again, you can add more salt if you need to. We'll let that cook for a little bit and we'll come back to it. So when the sauce is boiling like this, that tells me that it's done. So I'm going to go ahead and plate it up. And we're all done. So I will see you other strangers when I see you. DFTBN. That's good.